Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears. TK and I are going to talk about what everyone's talking about. I mean, what is the greatest NFL football weekend in the playoffs of all time? Not even close. All four games went down to the wire. It was just an absolutely incredible game. Incredible games. We saw Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We saw future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Great comebacks, great kicking, field goal kicking, you name it. So many storylines. We're going to get into that. Some epic matchups next week. The Kansas City Chiefs, a touchdown favorite against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And then on the other side, the Battle of California. And we could possibly have, for the second year in a row, a team hosting the Super Bowl in their home field. And that's what the Los Angeles Rams are trying to do, which is incredible. We went all these years without it, and now possibly back-to-back years. Tampa did it a year ago. Also, we'll talk a little LSU hoops, men's and women's. Tough weekend for both. They lose over the weekend. The guys have lost 3 in a row. And Will Wade saying changes are coming. Absolutely got to shake it up. LSU basketball probably on the verge of falling out of the top 25 after those 3 losses in a row. And how about Antonio Brown? He pops up and he trolls the Tampa Bay Bucs. I'll get Tom's reaction to that. And Eli Apple had some negative things to say about the New Orleans Saints. How about that? Eli Apple. Why is he talking negative about anybody? Eli Apple needs to just play it low key. But we bring in Tommy Christian, who's joining us right now from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, where he is every Monday and Friday. TK, first off, have you caught your breath from what was just – I mean, there's just not enough expletives to talk about what we saw over the weekend.
You're exactly right, Ronnie. I mean, 4 games. If you bet on it, you were on the edge of the seat to the very end. If you had a team you were pulling for or pulling against, I mean, amazing. I mean, just unbelievable. NFL is best. As you said, the best weekend of NFL playoff football, perhaps just football, ever. 4 games on the last play, 3 by a field goal, 1 with the touchdown from Mahome. I mean, you know, it can't get much better than that. Wow, what an amazing, entertaining weekend of football. And I mean, it's almost going to be hard for the conference championships next Sunday to top this or to even match the excitement and the drama. Wow. Tough if you bet. Half the people were happy, half the people were sad, depending on which way you were going with it all. But, wow, it was fun to watch. It was exciting.
I tell you what, TK, my favorite thing, I guess, about the whole weekend was Burrow, obviously, getting another playoff win on the road against the Titans in Nashville. Tons of people from Louisiana. A lot of people. I knew 3 people that went up there to go watch that game. Happy for Joe Burrow to get it done on the road. The Bengals, are growing in front of us, and this is a team and a franchise that, again, I think they're expected next year to be the year that they compete for a Super Bowl. This year, hopefully, have a winning season, maybe get in the playoffs. I think they've surpassed their expectation, much like maybe Buffalo did a year ago. But big win. So that was my favorite thing. Outside of that, the Rams game and the 49ers game, nothing to take away anything from Kansas City because that was a fantastic. But Tom Brady did it again, Tommy. He did it again at 44 years old, down 27-3, and leads his team from the ashes of defeat. And they come back and tie it too quickly, unfortunately. And I was actually one that pulled for Tom Brady. I am one that loves dominance and love greatness and love dynasties and that sort of thing. I was a guy that liked the Yankees, even though maybe a lot of people didn't like the Yankees. But what Tom Brady has done, man, just mad props to him. The dude is the greatest of all time. I hope he doesn't retire because I just want to see how long he can keep doing it. He's still arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. And at 44 years old, and for him to just do it again, and the other team and everybody in the stadium's talking about it, knows about it, and here it comes, is just incredible. That was the best thing all weekend.
Well, I kind of agree with you, and I'll get to Joe Burrow in a minute, but when you listen to former NFL quarterbacks who were around for a while, Carson Palmer's on the Dan Patrick Show every week. And when you hear somebody, he played 10, 12 years, whatever. When you hear somebody like that go, I can't believe this guy's doing that. It's, when you hear the guys that have been in those shoes talk about it, it's kind of like when Cal Ripken broke the consecutive game streaks and the other teams on the top of the dugout applauding him because they know how hard that was to do. So when you hear these other NFL quarterbacks marveling at Tom Brady doing what he's doing, it's unbelievable. I mean, you can't count Brady out at any time. Now, they didn't win yesterday, and he got first time in his career, he got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And that comes a couple days after he popped off about saying he's a smart ass. The refs think he's a smart ass, and he probably gets away with too much smack talk. Well, Hockley didn't take that. He flagged him. But, man, unbelievable. Back to Joe Burrow. First time in NFL history, regular season or postseason, that a quarterback was sacked 9 times, still won the game. Roddy, a friend of mine over at Covington posted during the game, said the Bengals must draft 18 offensive linemen. Because I don't think Burrow's in that don't bet against Joe Burrow category yet. But if he gets an offensive line, whoa. I mean, don't count him out. Wow. What a uplift for the Cincinnati Bengal organization and for all of their fans who traveled well in spite of the Titans changing their ticket policy, trying to keep them out. They're going to be in Arrowhead. A lot of folks from Louisiana and Baton Rouge are going to be in Arrowhead this coming Sunday afternoon.
It's the battle of your favorite LSU football players, really. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyrann Mathieu taking on
Darrell Williams, and
Chase and Burrow. I mean, it's pretty
a lot
cool.
of LSU flavor next week for sure. I mean, that's pretty cool. But Brady, Burrow, I mean, wow. I don't know what we could say that, hadn't been said or won't get said this week, but tell you what, it's going to be a fun week leading up to these conference championship games. 2:00 Sunday, Chiefs-Bengals. 5:30 Sunday. It'll be the Rams 49ers out on the West Coast.
Talking about
by the way, I meant Chiefs 7-point favorite, Rams 3-point favorite. That's the line as of today. Might move, might not. We'll have to wait and see.
How about that? Chase, first rookie to have 2 100-yard playoff games ever, and he's not done. He's probably going to have 3.
If you're a Bengal fan, put your seatbelt on. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
Talking about okay, so in the Rams game versus the Bucks, were you pulling for anyone in particular? One team
well,
over there?
I bet the Rams on the money line, so
okay.
That's what
there you go. Yeah, so you're pulling. I mean,
it's 27-3. I thought I was in the rocking chair. Right?
When it was 20-3 right before halftime, and they fumbled at the 2-yard line. You just knew. You knew. Because, I mean, they go up 27-3 at halftime. I don't care who's playing quarterback. 20-3, but then all of a sudden you get the ball. Then you block it changed. Like, when that happened, it was like, mark that play down. Like, that's the play. 17-point lead in the NFL is doable. 3 touchdowns is tough. 17's 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and you got a whole half. But that was a giant play. And then, of course, the Rams kept turning the ball over in the second half. I mean, it was absolutely amazing.
Part of that, Ronnie, is the Rams know that that's number 12 on the other sideline.
Right.
That's why they started crumbling a little bit. It's like the golfer that sees Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus roaring on the front 9, and you're ahead of them. You're like, oh, my, here we go. So that's part of the mental part of this thing as well, man. Wow. But the Rams found a way to win. They flew home with a W.
Matthew Stafford made 3 great throws when he needed to down the stretch, didn't have a good second half, had a big final drive, got that monkey off his back. And now, forget the whole Matthew Stafford can't win it. He won on the road. He went mano a mano against the greatest of all time, and he got a win, and now he's at home for the NFC Championship. Stephen Miller saying what's even more impressive about Tom Brady is that for the most part of his career, he's done it with mid-level wide receivers and supporting cast on offense, and that's exactly true. Not the case necessarily now in Tampa with Evans being there and Leonard Fournette back at running back, but you didn't have a couple of your other receivers that you expected to have and still found a way to get it done. I mean, just the intestinal fortitude and the belief that he transfers to his teammates that they can come back and just get me the ball it's just so fun to watch, man. So I feel for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I feel for guys like Leonard Fournette and Devin White. But the Tampa defense, that was supposed to be a strong part of their team. They got all the starters back just about, and the defense just at times this year let them down. And
keep in mind the Rams did that without Andrew Whitworth at left tackle as well. Another LSU, a lot of LSU flavor out there. But you throw in Stafford and Kupp and Beckham and the tight end, and I can't wait for next Sunday. Again, it's going to be hard to match the drama, the excitement, the photo finishes that we just saw this weekend. But I think a lot of people will be tuned in. Ratings will be up.
So there was a story before we get to the rest of the game. There was a story about Sean Payton about he has not firmly committed to the Saints for 2022. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Speculation would be that he might possibly mini retire, sit out a year or two, rejuvenate the batteries, do some TV, and if that happens, he probably wouldn't come back to New Orleans. He probably would go somewhere else and be the highest paid free agent coach of all time. I talked to some folks last night at the LSU baseball first pitch banquet that are New Orleanians that are kind of close to some staffers and executives with the team. And they talked to him over the last couple of days, and they said that it's not going to happen, that he's going to be back. What's your opinion?
Well, $45 million is what he's owed in the next 3 years. So I would think he comes back. There was talk about the Cowboys, if Jerry Jones might make him a huge offer, the TV thing. I don't know. I think Sean Payton's a football coach. I'm not saying he'd never do TV. I think he's a football coach. And, and you could argue about the great job he did this year, using 4 different starting quarterbacks, all the COVID stuff, the other injuries. I mean, the Saints had more than their fair share of the injury bug. So if I had to bet a Diet Coke on it, I think he's back with the Saints. But I'm not going to fall out the chair if he's not.
I think it's the typical end of the year. The guy had one of the toughest years as a coach, dealing with all the COVID issues, dealing with all the different quarterbacks, and and then the heartbreak of having a winning season and then not getting in because the freaking Rams, who are playing so good all of a sudden, can't take care of business and hold on to a 17-point lead at home, which is unbelievable. We wouldn't even be talking about the 49ers if the Rams would have just held on to a 17-point lead and knocked off the Niners. The Saints would have been in. But I think that there is probably some, I need a break, but is that break, do you need a month? Do you need a couple? Do you need 3 weeks? I mean, what do you need? I mean, the problem with taking too long of a break, Tommy, is it's not like the old NFL of the 70s and 80s where you could take a break for 2 or 3 months and then come back. Like you take senior bowls in a couple, next week or a couple of weeks, and then you got to get ready for the combine and then the draft, and there's too many things, free agency, and there's so much going on that you can have maybe a 2-week break, maybe even a 3-week break. But that's about it. And so I think there is a little bit of, hey, man, we'll talk about this later. Let me get away for a minute. And I think that's what Sean Payton's doing. I think he's turned off his phone. I think he's disconnected. And hopefully his trip to the Caribbean or Bahamas or wherever the heck he is, he'll come back in a week and be like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Well, typically NFL coaches kind of got about a week in the latter part of July when they kind of just wash their hands of any and all football stuff, do family stuff, and travel, whatever they want to do. But, I don't know. Hey, it's up to Sean Payton. And I think he's going to let people know. I mean, there's enough good guys in the media down there in New Orleans that next time they have a chance to ask him, they will. And if he avoids him for a couple of more days, just let it play out. I think he will return to the New Orleans Saints.
I really, nobody ever thought Tom Brady would leave New England and play anywhere else. So, probably nobody ever thought Peyton Manning would leave Indianapolis, although different situation with the injury. But Tom Brady basically chose to leave New England. If that can happen, anything can happen, right? So it wouldn't shock me if Sean Payton decides to step out, sit out a year, and then choose where he wants to go, where they have the best setup and situation for him. If he feels he can't get that done in New Orleans, New Orleans is over the cap again. New Orleans is, doesn't really have a quarterback. I just hope Sean Payton can convince an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson to come to New Orleans. I think if that happens, he stays. If it doesn't, maybe he says, you know what, I'm out.
Well, in fairness to the organization, he needs to let them know. He doesn't necessarily have to tell us, but he needs to let Mickey Loomis and Mrs. Benson and let the appropriate people know. And even if he tells them, hey, sit on this for about a week or let this twist in the wind, but in fairness to the organization, because they work the drafts April 28th. That's not that far away in the big picture, but other things have to happen between now and then. They're about $74 million over on the salary cap. Mickey Loomis might be the best salary cap guru in the history of the NFL, so I'm sure he'll work it out. But the most important part of what you just said, quarterback situation, what's going to happen there or not happen there, and I think that's important to Sean Payton. So I'm sure that's probably what's being worked on now, for lack of a better word.
I want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs game for a minute at the end, because my feelings on the Buffalo Bills is that as Kansas City now has punched their ticket to 4 straight AFC championship games under Patrick Mahomes, the Buffalo Bills are finding themselves in that same category that the New Orleans Saints felt like in the late 80s under Joe Montana and the 49ers, right? We're really good. We can maybe win a championship. We just happen to be playing at a time where there's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and the greatest franchise at the time, with the Bartolos at the helm and everything. And the Saints, you put the Saints in the AFC back then, the Saints find their way to the Super Bowl probably at least once. I really believe that. But the Bills are just in the wrong division. They're just in the wrong side. They've got to go. They have to get home field advantage one year to where Kansas City's got to go to Buffalo. There's 2 years in a row now they've gone to Kansas City, giving it their best shot, and Patrick Mahomes proves that he is the best quarterback in the NFL. The best. I know Joe Burrow is the most exciting, and we love him, and we know Tom Brady's been doing it for 20 years. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. If I got one game to win it all, I want that guy to be my quarterback right now. Same. Skip Burtman used to ask us when we played for him. We would do a report at the end of the fall, and it was a private report that you'd fill out and turn into your coaches. And it would say, "Hey, if you got one batter at the plate, who do you want at the plate to get the base hit in the bottom of the ninth with the runner at second? Or if you got one game to win it all, who do you want on the mound? Who do you have the most confidence in?" You'd rank your teammates like 1 through 15 or whatever. If you had that question, who's your quarterback? I'm saying Patrick Mahomes. What do you say?
I would agree that it's Mahomes. And Ronnie, for the first time in 12 years, there's no Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady playing on Conference Championship Sunday. But you got Mahomes now with 4 in a row. So, if I got to have one guy today, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I know you can make an argument for a couple other guys that aren't far behind him, but I think it's clear cut. If I got to win one game, I want Mahomes taking the snap.
This is a good point by Byron Painter. He said this. He said, if the Bengals shore up their O-line, have the Bills missed their window? Because obviously with Joe Burrow, he's going to have something to say about it as well in that same division. I mean, how fortunate are we to have all those guys in the AFC, those fantastic quarterbacks. But no, you're right. A lot of people thought this was the year for the Buffalo Bills, that this was going to be the year, but I don't sleep on them. I think they got a fantastic team, a fantastic quarterback. I think it's just going to be fun for the fans, man, to have to watch Mahomes and Burrow and Buffalo just battle it out each and every year. And who knows, who else jumps into the fray there. But Patrick Mahomes, man, he's on his way to being potentially the GOAT. I mean, we got a long way to go. Tom Brady's going to be the GOAT unless something crazy happens. But Patrick Mahomes is just absolutely sensational.
And we got to do our best to get him on Sports Shorts Radio this coming Saturday.
Yeah, he joined us. It was very nice of him. He joined us on Saturday, the end of the first hour, around 10:55. He did about 5 minutes with us this past Saturday. We had him on Sports Shorts Radio every Saturday morning, 10 to noon on 104.5. And I'm sure we'll get him back again next week. So definitely tune into that.
He had the people at Mr. Carter's barbershop in Prairieville dying laughing, man. They loved listening to Patrick.
What about this? I don't know that I agree with this. Chance Babin saying horrible decision not to kick the ball in the field by the Bills. At the end of regulation, when Buffalo, with 13 seconds left, they kicked off. They kicked it into the end zone, which meant that Kansas City got it at the 25. Instead of trying to kick it down to, say, the 5 or 10-yard line, letting them catch it, run some clock. Which did you prefer there?
Well, Chance is correct, and it's been talked about all morning. If they squib kick it, the ball hits the ground, then the clock's going to start as soon as somebody touches it. Okay, if you kick it up in the air thinking you're going to land it on a 5, in theory it could bounce into the end zone. The clock doesn't run. So the squib kick perhaps should have been used to force at least. And now somebody could have caught it and immediately gave themselves up and dropped to the ground. Might have only lost 1 second, maybe 2. But that's easy to do on Monday. That's easy to say Monday when the game's over. I would hope the Bills had discussed that in advance, that if we get to that spot, do we squib kick it or do we make sure they keep it on the 25? Because if you give them a chance to return, I mean, Tyreek Hill's not bad. And the other guy, Hardman, the other guy that runs it back, I mean, because if he runs it out to midfield, well, then, like you said, some clock runs off. But, I was sitting with a big group of people, and when I said, hey, 13 seconds, it's not impossible. And I'm not patting myself on the back here. I said, but this ain't over. I was over because I bet the over, so I was in the rocking chair, but I just enjoyed the end. But Chance, good point. Squib kick. It's easy to say Monday morning. But
here's the thing is that, in that moment, right, Buffalo, they're so excited. They take the lead. The safe play, right, is to kick it into the end zone. I guess the question becomes, do you have more confidence in your defense with 13 seconds to not allow the Kansas City offense to get to, say, the 40-yard line? So you're talking about 25 yards to have a legitimate 57-yard chance.
35, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying if you get to the 40, it's a 57-yard field goal.
Yeah, but if you start on your 25, that would be 35 yards.
Thank you. There you go, Menard High. So 35 yards.
Holy Cross math kicks in.
It's that new math, right? But do you believe more in your defense with 13 seconds, not allowing or do you believe more in your special teams? Because your special teams is running down there, frenetic. You've got a couple of fantastic athletes back there. Like you said, there's a chance they can take it to the house. There's a chance they can pop and take it to the 40 or 50, and then now it's a reverse,
run a lateral. I mean, both defenses were gassed. I mean, them dudes were sucking air. Okay, and they just let Mahome go nuts, and of course the Chiefs let Allen go nuts for 25 points in about a 2-minute window. That's unheard of. So, again, it's easy to say it this morning, but maybe you should have relied more on the special team to get it done, because I don't think the Chiefs would have tried, to cross the field lateral or some kind of reverse play. You never know. I'm sure they got all that in the book, but it gives Sports Jones Daily plenty to talk about on Monday morning, but it is a good point by Chance.
I tell you, the one thing that was just unbelievable is how poorly both defenses played down the stretch. Talking about Kansas
City. Offense, man. Ronnie, those guys are good.
But I mean, I'm surprised that Kansas City didn't use a timeout when they would when their defense wasn't lined up properly, and they had the outside cornerback trying to move them into the inside slot. They're running at that point when you see that's going on, and the clock stopped anyway in that situation. Just call timeout. Yeah, call timeout, regroup, because I think they had 3 timeouts. I mean, it wasn't going to cost them in that moment. So I thought they should have taken the timeout there to regroup. And then, of course, they mess up the coverage because it's last minute getting in position. And then Buffalo just not having the right defense in there, I guess ever believing that they were going to throw in the middle of the field. I mean, it's too soft. I agree you don't go zero coverage and just go all out blitz and have everybody on an island one-on-one, but it's got to be, send one guy. There's got to be some pressure and some scheme. And look, we keep seeing this thing over and over, Tommy. Look back to the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings. We saw the same thing happen there. Teams just don't know. They just don't do a good job playing that old prevent, soft stuff, keep everything in front. It just goes against how they're taught how to play. And we see it time and time again, man. Teams just playing two-hand touch because they don't know exactly what to do. It goes against their grain of being aggressive.
One of the cliches, the prevent defense prevents a win,
Right.
and I guess everybody wants to argue it. And the point you make, right, it goes against what the guys taught, it's that's where I think that's the thing that causes the issue. I mean, you played a game for since September one way, then all of a sudden there's 13 seconds left and you play the game a different way. Yeah, I guess I'm ripping the coaches and the players, but facts are the facts.
Go back to Tampa. Do you think Tom Brady will play again next year?
I think there's a better chance that Peyton coaches the Saints than Brady playing next year.
Okay.
So I think it's 50-50. I think Brady, like he said after the game, he's going to talk to some people, going to take a few days to, let the dust settle, and when he's ready to make an announcement, he will. I'm almost leaning to he's done.
I think that Brady's going to have to find out what the plan is for the Tampa Bay Bucks front office. Like, last year they win the championship and everybody just re-ups and everybody takes pay cuts, but now they're expecting a lot more departures. So who's back? Who isn't? I think that plays a giant role.
Now, he has spoke very highly of Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for the Bucks. His name's bandied about with some of the NFL openings. So, I don't know how much that plays in. I mean, Brady, I'm sure they're on the same page with that with that Leftwich, but I'm sure you can get on the same page with another guy too. But so I don't know. He's gonna. You're right. He's gonna examine the entire picture here to make a decision.
An interesting thing that's developing here is over in San Francisco. Garoppolo is one win away from getting back to Super Bowl, and this is supposed to be the final season where he's the quarterback of the 49ers because they drafted their future in the first round, much like Green Bay, right? Green Bay took a first-round pick. 49ers were a first-round pick because they both of them thinking they got these old guys that are going to be washed up soon. I don't know. If you're 49ers, I don't know how Jimmy G, win or lose, with what he's done and the moxie he's shown. And, I mean, how can you get rid of that guy as your quarterback? But if he does, hey, New Orleans, I'd take him.
Yeah, well, they could probably get a lot of value for him right now too, and that'll be a decision they'll make either if they lose this Sunday or if he goes to the Super Bowl. I mean, how do you say, no, we don't want this guy that took us to the Super Bowl? That'd be hard to do, especially at his age.
Amazing what he did on the road. I was really surprised at the lack of offense that the Green Bay Packers had, in that game. Only 7 points till late. I mean, just one of those things, man. And Aaron Rodgers, I just don't think he's back, Tommy. I don't get the feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to be back.
In that game, he didn't throw the ball down the field. Okay, I don't like all these 4-yard passes, 8-yard, 12-yard passes. Okay, I'm talking about from the line of scrimmage into the defense. I just think you got to put the ball downfield to, for the whole picture. And look, a lot of people know way more about football than I do, but the more you can use the entire field, a threat of going deep, the better. I know it was cold, but hey, it was cold on both sidelines.
I don't know who the special teams coach is for the Green Bay Packers, but I'd be willing to bet that
there's a new one next year.
Well, I'd be willing to bet that he was fired last night. I mean, as soon as the press conference is over, they're saying, "Hey, get his shit out of here."
Meet me in my office because I'm getting ready to hand you your papers.
Did they have a special teams coach? Maybe they somehow forgot to fill that position. I mean, it was just.
Well, and it's been a problem all year long for that team. It's not like it came up the other night. Everybody, the announcers accurately said this has been the problem all year.
I mean, that was just absolutely atrocious. It looked like high school football, man. I've seen a lot of high school football. Heck, I did a Madison. I did a high school football state championships, a couple of them this past December, and teams literally won and lost state championships because of special teams. We spend so much time on offense and defense, and especially at the high school level, you may not have a good kicker, you may not have a great snapper, and so it rears its ugly head even more. State championships were won and lost due to special teams. That's exactly what we saw with Green Bay. I mean, they should have won that game as bad as they played on offense.
They had 10 guys on the field for the game-winning field goal. They didn't even have 11 guys. I mean, this is pro football. That's not what that happens in the 12-year-old Pee Wee League when you only got 10 guys out there. Heck, it happens in high school. You only got 10 guys out there. But these are professional football players, professional coaches. You can't have 10 guys on the field when the other team is lining up the game winning field goal. Might not have made any difference at all, but you can't do that.
The special teams coach for the Green Bay Packers is Maurice Drayton, and I don't know Maurice Drayton. I don't know if he's got a drinking problem. I don't know what's going on, but Maurice, my man, like we gotta fix some things, brother. We need to go back to the Division II NCAA level, regroup, and then we can come back to the NFL because that was so brutal. Speaking of brutal, LSU men's basketball right now, they've lost 3 in a row, Tommy, and you said that Will Wade wasn't happy about it, going to make some changes.
Yeah, they only scored 50 points. That's the lowest point total in Wade's tenure at LSU. And, they whipped up Tennessee a couple weeks ago in the PMAC. Tennessee turned it around, and they're playing good basketball. But Will Wade said changes coming. That tells me lineup changes, minutes getting played by guys, personnel packages. Hopefully they get Pinson back. They really need him. They don't play till Wednesday night at 8 o'clock at home against Texas A&M. But, if you're going to mess up in January and not, March. So learn from it. Will Wade will make the changes. I'm sure he's going to have everybody's attention at practice. And we'll see if they can fix what ails them come Wednesday night against a good Texas A&M team.
Speaking of basketball, NCAA women's basketball, Kim Mulkey and them lost a tough one on the road at Florida yesterday. They've got Arkansas on the road this Thursday. That game will be 7:30 on the SEC network, so you can check that one out. They 73-72 was the final score on Saturday. They had the lead in the fourth quarter and couldn't bring it home.
They only had one player in double digits scoring, and that's not a Kim Mulkey type team. So it happens. I'm not raining on her parade. I'm just saying. I'm sure that was one of her points of emphasis. Is we got one player scoring 30 plus. Well, we got to have more than one person in double digits. That's the recipe. But lo and behold, they only lose by 1 on the road. Tough to win on the road. We know that. They'll learn from it.
Yeah, Kayla Pointer, 35 points for LSU in that game. The Tigers actually outshot Florida 43% to 37.5%. And they actually out-rebounded Florida, but just didn't get it done. Gators were better at the foul line. They shot more free throws and shot 86% from the free throw line. And Tigers had 3 more turnovers than the Gators in a close game. That was the difference. All right, we'll be back Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by LeBear's Casino. We were at LeBear's last night. You were there doing Hold the Rope Radio with Skip Burtman and Dan Canterbury, and a bunch of guests stopped by. The LSU first pitch banquet. What was your reaction?
Oh, it was a tremendous turnout. We had a lot of fun. Canterbury put together a great show. We had Dan Fitzgerald, Jason Kelly, Anthony Renato, Ryan Terrio, Dan Borman from Taft. We had Janice Guitro and Sharon Pohl, who basically put the whole first pitch banquet together. It was a fun show. Coach Burtman had a lot of fun, and a lot of people watched it on YouTube and Facebook, and we got a lot of comments. That was cool. Now, next Saturday, Hold the Rope will go 1 to 3 at Sammy's Grill due to the conference championship games. Wednesday, Sports Shorts Daily, I'll be at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. And today over here at Tremonti's Chicken Fried Steak is your lunch special. Crawfish are coming soon. I asked Mike about that. A couple weeks away now with this little cold snap. Full stock wine selection, the whiskey that's behind me, catering jobs, everything you need at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Jefferson Highway, right down from Parkview Baptist Church and School, and connect with them on Facebook and Instagram.
So I owe Ryan Terrio an apology, so I want to say that. I told him I would apologize on air. When you told me that he was expected to come and do the show, I said, no way, he's not coming. And he actually did show up and I told him, I said, look, you're the king of, I'll be there. And he laughed. He said, no, you're right. but he brought his son. He came to the first pitch banquet. Also, Kevin Gosman was there at the first pitch banquet. Saw him from a distance.
Well, I mean, look, I saw Wally Pontiff, got to talk to him real quickly. Joe Sherman and his daughter were there.
Ben McDonald.
Ben McDonald and his wife were there. I mean, it was a huge turnout. Ivan Cabrera. I mean, we had a lot of good stuff. It was a fun night, and LSU baseball fired up, and the players all in their purple jerseys signed autographs for at least an hour. I mean, it seemed like it never ended, and it was really cool. It was a fun night, and I think that thing's going to grow. They're already talking about more people next year, maybe different location, but LeBears did a great job. They set us up for radio right in the lobby. We appreciate them and had a lot of fun. It was great exposure.
Pulmonary, Skip Burtman, they were there with their wives as well. It was a who's who. All right, we'll be back Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by LeBears Casino.
Like and share.
Yeah.
Like and share.
Hit
Please.
that like button, hit that subscribe.